Well, hey, folks, thanks for joining our Monday Mindshare again. Once again, good to have Matt Kerr joining us again. Welcome to the show again, bud.
Hey, how you going?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How's life in Northern Queensland? Still, you're going into summer, right? So warming up.
We are. Yeah, so hey, it's getting warmer. It's definitely getting warmer. And luckily we haven't seen too much COVID, which has allowed a little bit of racing to go ahead,
Yeah.
which is positive in comparison to some of the states and the rest of the country, and definitely
Right.
in New Zealand at the moment. So we're lucky on that front, but the temperature certainly is warming up as the weeks get on. So it's only going to get warmer, and we'll get some of that humidity through November, December, and yeah.
So obviously had a race in your own backyard there on the Sunshine Coast. What was the temperature of the day on race day?
Hey, it wasn't too hot. We were swimming by 6 o'clock. So by the time we were onto the run, I think it was about 25, 26 degrees. So, I mean, it's warm. It's something you got to be mindful of, but it's not detrimental to the racing that's going on.
Right.
So it wasn't too much of a factor, and they got us off the course pretty quickly, which was somewhat nice.
Fairly quickly. It was a sub 4 hour, if I recall correctly. So 3 wins for 2021. You must be jazzed at how you finished all up across all the races you've done in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah, things are going well. They're progressing really well. It's a tough one because and it's my own choice, racing as an age grouper at the moment, and just getting out there. And for me, it's about having those numbers to hit, especially on the bike and in the run, because predominantly the age groupers are starting at a slight time delay behind that pro field. So you're not really getting that on-course racing that you get in a pro field. This start, particularly in Sunshine Coast, was probably the closest start that I'd had to a pro field. We were only 4 minutes behind the men. And 5 minutes behind the men and 4 minutes behind the women. So we got through the women, and started tacking on to some of those the back end pros, which was good for racing, and
I bet.
that was the goal, to crawl back as many as I could on the course, but also time difference. I knew that they were 5 minutes ahead via time, and anything I could put into them hopefully would see me with a bit of a time difference at the end.
Well, I'm sure with this new suit you're wearing now, they're all asking you about what SFuels is and what purpose is and what this new helmet you've got is all about. So attracting a lot of attention. It's a cool looking suit.
Mate, it's there's a few new pieces of kit in that race. The helmet, the suit, and a bit of a front end change. So it was good to be able to train with that, but also then go and execute it in a race and lay it all out, and top it up with that custom suit there from Purpose. So that turned out fantastic.
So just walk us through your numbers for the race, for the Sunshine race, in terms of your swim, bike, and run. Where did you end up in the end?
So I swam a 25, which, you know what, I wasn't the best swim for me, and it's probably the most disappointment on the day that I had. It was choppy conditions. The pros seemed to swim a lot faster. They swam in that front pack and just held it one consistent pack. Whereas all our age group times were a little bit slower, but it's all right. So I'm 25. Then got out and just rode pretty solid, and went 2:05.
Oh, okay.
So it was a 2-lap course. It was pretty fast day, but I mean, there was no major wind as such. So it was just, for me, it was head down, and as I say, it was just trying to stay as aero as possible, put out less variability in terms of power. So not a whole bunch of surging, because there was no need to do that with who I was racing on the road at the time. Try and put as much time into those that were behind me as possible. I think I came in the second lap with a couple of minutes on two, and then put another couple in the second lap, and then came off the bike and ran a 1:17. for me, I guess it was done a bit of work around the run area, and that was probably my better run off the bike, off a reasonably solid bike. The course wasn't overly flat. Like I compare it to Cairns. Cairns was pancake flat. We had a couple of lumps in the middle here, 2 laps again.
Right.
So yeah, it was reasonable. It was good.
And so that's your first time under 4 hours, right?
Yes, yeah. Oh, I've done. Yeah, I went. It was like a low key 70.3 in New Zealand, slightly short bike course.
Okay.
And I think I went just under 4 on that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but this is significantly, I guess.
Yeah, it is significantly. And so what was the power you were pushing on the bike?
I think I averaged 314 overall. Yeah, I went out first lap. I was at 320, and like I could have held that for another lap, but yeah, I was getting reasonable speed for the power I was putting in. So, and I did want to consistently run off that rather than trying to, fading at the end, because I knew I'd see some of those guys, all those pro guys at the end of the run there and trying to hold on for that. So, decision was made just to maybe back it off a few watts there and still ride solid, but
Sure.
Yeah, just save a little bit there.
And if you were to compare what you went into Cairns with versus the Sunshine Coast race in terms of training, nutrition, any kind of tweaks that you're kind of working with? You mentioned the run there, I think, but is there anything else?
Yeah. Going into Cairns, I'd come off Ironman New Zealand, which was predominantly that typical Ironman training. So we've done the long Ks, the long miles, the long rides. Whereas this, I'd still done a bit of that, but there was a little bit more focus around trying to get the power higher and then running hard off the bike. So typically for me, that would be a Sunday session, and I'd be on the trainer with set power. There'd be a little bit of variation in it, trying to get around that 320, 330, and then fluctuating just under that with a pretty solid runoff. So, and Sundays are usually my race simulation, regardless of what's coming up, whether it's Ironman or 70.3, and the power's dictated by the race coming up.
You're simulating your nutrition also, Matt. When you do your Sunday sessions, you're typically trying to similar model.
Yeah, exactly. So the Sundays, I try and line it up identically to race day, to be fair. So I will eat prior to, and I'll eat very similar to what I eat on race day.
Right.
So it's like when you get to race day, you know exactly that if your eat's not going to cause you discomfort during the race. You've done it before and you got confidence in that. And to be fair, it's actually not a worry, rather than trying to shovel some new stuff in.
Right. I wouldn't imagine, though, just based on the last discussion we had on this call with you, that your fat ox numbers, you're probably not needing to take a whole ton of it anymore in any case.
And a 70.3, I think, you can't fudge your way through it, but you can certainly be a little bit more lenient. Although you're working at a higher intensity, you can be a little bit more lenient than a full Ironman, for example. So yeah, I didn't, and I always remember what Dan said. Like he's got that typical motto of race day, you got to treat your body, or you can treat your body like a rental car. I've heard him say that multiple times. But yeah, like I look at this race, and actually, I was not consuming a whole bunch during the race. So, and I know that I know that as an athlete that my numbers stack up to be able to produce that power and not be in a deficit of energy when I get halfway through my run, for example.
Right. What are you, for your, just looking at your bike there, looks like you got some down tube and back of the seat nutrition. What is that, like two serves per bottle, or like what's typical for you?
So in each
Race Plus.
Yeah, Race Plus. So I've got that in that back carriage there, you can see, and in the front. So that's preloaded in the morning. And same on that Aero bottle as well. So there's there's about 30 in each of those, which for that bottle on the frame there is pretty strong. So I'll go through obviously the aero bottle first, and then top that up with the one behind the seat, and then in that last aid station, I just grab an electrolyte from that aid station, and that's just a bit of a top up. To be fair, I went and grabbed my bike, and it was still full. So I'd gone through those 2 bottles plus that one on the frame.
Good. So we're in almost October. You're still based in the north there in Queensland. COVID's causing havoc, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. What if you had your choice? What would your plans be for the rest of the year, and what's in reality actually panning out for you?
Right, exactly. So I guess the plan is always to get back home before Christmas. The Kiwi season's got a pretty solid race calendar of 70.3s topped up with that finisher in March of Ironman New Zealand. So that was definitely the goal. In terms of reality, what that actually looks like. There's some restrictions on getting home at the moment and getting some quarantine spots. So it's certainly not proving to be easy. There's a couple more races going on here in Australia. There's an Olympic distance, which I'll probably jump in on up in Noosa. Go and do that. And
is that the classic October Noosa triathlon weekend? Oh, that's a huge weekend.
It is, right? It is. So that should be a bit of fun. Although the Olympic is it's pretty red line. We'll go. It's a race. So
it's a magic location, and it's a huge weekend. Have you done it before there?
I haven't, no.
I remember, it must have been the 80s when Dave Scott came out. I don't know if it was the first time ever to Australia, but he's like a superstar walking around. But it's an awesome location. I'm sure you've been to Noosa, and it comes alive on that weekend, so you'll have a blast. But, of course, a bit higher intensity than 70.3. Any thoughts or how you're going to approach a race like that?
Oh, mate, it's I've obviously been in a few Olympic distances before, and you're up against and even Hayden Wild, and it's next level. The runs, you got to be on your game, and if you don't make that front swim pack, or you're not in that front swim pack, well, that's you're working overtime for the rest of the day.
Well, that's certainly for Hayden. That seems to be what's playing out for him a lot of the times, is working hard on the bike. So, okay, got it. Well, March, if you could be back in New Zealand, there's the Ironman there. And then the big news this week, of course, is Ironman's, big decision on putting a world champs in St. George for the full Ironman on May, I think it is now, and still again in October. Any thoughts for you? You still got your eye on the October race, or you might be persuaded on the May race?
Hey, we'll see what races I can get in. May suits us in terms of
time of the year.
In terms of the year, we could have a reasonable race season over here, and that could be pretty good shape by May. Coming off of back of races, so it's definitely not ruled out. Obviously, down the line, October was the goal, but they need to get a race somewhere. Given the sort of backlog of qualifiers, so it's exciting that there's something going ahead rather than just a cancellation completely. Sort of dictated by, I guess, what full distance I can do. There's potential that there's
Well, hey, but I was going to ask you about Keto 3. It doesn't sound like we've got it into your pantry yet, so we'll get that resolved for you. But the uptake's been great on that. The feedback's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of your season. And thanks very much for catching up with us again.
Cool, mate. Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me. Talk soon.
All right. Have a good one. See you, Matt.